All right, here we've got a 11 by 17 garden shed that a customer was going to buy, one of those roll-offs that you see at grocery stores or hardware stores or basically everywhere. But she opted for a little bit sturdier construction, and I was more than happy to do that for her. So we've got regular laminated 2 by 6 columns that we use on our, standard size post frames. We've got the same brackets that are made through Midwest Permacolumn. And here we are standing all the posts. We usually build all the walls on the ground with all the lumber and stand them up as one piece. But just due to the size of this building and kind of the lack of room on the pad, we just decided to stand the post one at a time, level them up, and then come through and put all of our wall girts on. Now, if you look closely at these posts, you can see we have pre-marked all of our locations, so we know right where our girts are supposed to be based off of a laser grade mark that you had seen me do at the very beginning. I was running around. Actually, this camera is sitting on a laser. And here we're just running around putting all the girts on at our, like I said, we've got all the marks already here. And, the thing with post frames is it's not always exactly where you want it. But if you kind of watch the video closely, you can see we're using a little bit of leverage here and there to put it right where we want it, because we got all of our boards marked exactly where we want them. So once everything is nailed as it should, it usually just falls into place. As long as you start square, you'll end square. Got some grade board going on. Got the rafters up. Working on some purlins right now. Those are all 2x4s laid on edge. We do that mostly for strength. We got a 6-foot span on these rafters. So putting the purlins in, and we also opted for a one-piece purlin per se. So the purlin actually extends all in one line versus being overlapped like we normally do. And we did this because we are going to be sheeting this roof, and it's a lot easier to just sheet across and have all of your framing in the same line instead of jumping up 1.5 inches when you get to a certain point. Here I'm putting the tails on, which we fastened with Fasten Master Timberlock 6-inch screws. Those things are awesome. Once they grab, they ain't coming out. Putting the fascia board on. You'll see a big gap there between the fascia and that purl, and that will get reduced as soon as we start doing the sheeting later on. You'll see that. Wrapping up some end fascias. Putting the fascia on the very back. And here I'm putting the header on for the door. It's going to be a double door. Top girt where we mount our F&J or soffit trim, whatever you want to call it. I call it an F&J because it looks like the side profile of it is the letter F with a J channel piece on it. So now we're checking for square. You got to always make sure you're square. Doing that by pulling diagonal measurements. As long as your length and width are the same and your diagonals are the same, then you're good to go. We're good. Now it's time to sheet. So on this building, customer had asked us to put sheeting on it, mainly because she did not want any condensation dripping. And not that it will be really much of a concern on this building. It's got a pretty big soffit on both sides. Should get pretty good airflow. And concrete's got vapor barrier underneath of it. So it should be pretty good. But regardless, we went ahead and did that pretty small price to have a little bit of insurance, just if she's got some tools out there and stuff. She didn't want any moisture dripping on them. So getting the plywood up pretty easy. Getting some drip edge on the back edge. And I think I ran out of nails for that gun. So now I had to switch over to my PAS load, which is a little bit expensive way to shoot sheeting on. But had to do it. Didn't have any other choice at this point. Getting the roof all marked out for steel, and off we go. Now when we do this steel, we did go ahead and mark all of the screw marks on the top sheet. I know I've gone over this before, but we like to punch our steel. That way all of our lines are in a nice, or all of our screws are in a nice straight line. We do that by setting the whole pile up, marking the top sheet, punching through. And on this, I think there was about 7 sheets, so we could get a punch through the whole pile, which is nice because then all your screw lines are just perfect. You don't have to think, you don't have to guess, you don't have to snap chalk lines and get it all over the roof. You just go up there and start putting screws in the holes. So pretty nice getting our side gable trim on. And this top was a little bit unique because of the angle, because of the ribs, and because of the plane of the two trims that were coming together up there on the corners. I had to notch out all of the I had to notch out the trim so it would fit into the ribs, which was kind of a pain, but it actually turned out really nice and looks really nice. A little bit extra time is well worth it, I think, as long as it gives you a good end result. Here's that F&J trim I was talking about. It basically accepts the soffit panels coming in from the side, and then also has a J built into it to accept your sidewall steel. So you'll see me putting that up, and then going ahead and I do believe I'm going to be putting up some soffit panels here. I love soffit fascia. It's very, very easy in a sense that it once you have everything set up, it just goes pretty quick, and it makes a building look so much better. I'm really a big supporter of soffit. I like overhangs. I hate building structures with no overhangs. I know it's a lot cheaper, but that's not my goal. Is to be cheap. It's to be aesthetically pleasing while also adding, good value with ventilation in a building. So very important in a post frame is having proper ventilation. So you can see the side steels going up. And my GoPro had died, so I apologize for that while we were getting that door, and I didn't realize it had died. And so we got the door in, the window in, and just wrapping up this outside steel. And unfortunately, before I get the very last sheet of steel on, my second battery had died. I did not realize that it was not fully charged today, and you don't get a second chance, and I don't feel like waiting until tomorrow, so I went ahead and finished it. And so you don't get to see me put that last sheet of steel up. But there's the finished product. I was able to get some pictures. Pretty happy with the way this turned out. For the cost, it's not a bad way to go.